We're here with Terry David Mulligan. Terry, you're a bit of a renaissance man in this country. You've been a Mountie, an actor, a broadcaster. My neighbor said you were the person who introduced the country to Michael Jackson's Thriller video.
I was sorry. I was in the right place at the right time, and yes, I did. I was doing a show called Good Rockin' Tonight, and the video came out. We had it first. We played it. We played it incessantly because it was really cool. And so people know me from my radio days. I'm still doing radio. They know me from acting. They know me from television. I'm also a film critic, and it's funny you said Renaissance man, but I just thought it was work ethic. I thought if you're going to be a broadcaster and a communicator, you might as well get out there and do it. And so when I came to Wine Country, I thought I was building a studio so I could do my music show, my radio music show. And I looked around and I realized that there wasn't a wine show in the Okanagan on radio, like regular. There were features, but not like a regular wine show. And I thought, this is the most amazing thing that can't be. How can you have a wine industry and not a show to celebrate it? So I started this show. Of course, I made it 2 hours long, an hour longer than it needed to be. But I like the idea of gathering winemakers and talking in circle about making wine. But then I realized it's exclusionary. It was okay for the winemakers, but the people doing the buying and the tasting and being drawn into Wine Country, they wanted to know more. They wanted to know the stories. They wanted to know from the chefs what food to serve with this Viognier. They wanted to know everything about it, and then it just kept expanding. And you can't just tell stories about your own wine district. You have to tell stories about the entire world of wine, because we don't just buy local, we buy the world of wine. So it just kept going and going and going. Now that we've got the show up and running for the last 4 years for Tasting Room Radio, now we're going to drop it down to an hour, because it's an incredible amount of work.
You've affected a generation of Canadians with what you've done in the media arts. Now you're trying to affect change in the next generation of the wine industry. You've been a bit rebellious. Tell us what you've done.
I did some civil disobedience recently. Friday the 13th. There's an odious 1928 prohibition law that's still on the books in Canada that says that if you come to the Okanagan and you buy a case or two of wine and you want to take it, say, to Calgary, because your next stories are in Calgary, it says that you cannot take it from BC to Alberta, that you must first go to the Liquor Control Board, fill out some papers, and then they'll send it to you perhaps 6 months down the road. That's not the way the world works. It's also free trade. This is the era of free trade. Where's the free trade? So they're holding on to this antiquated 1928 prohibition law so that they can gouge the public out of tax dollars over and over and over again, like literally taxing tax dollars. And so I found there was a meeting of the minds at the Playhouse Wine Festival in Vancouver. A couple of lawyers said, if you don't stand up and fight this, we'll be talking about this 20 years from now. So I stood up and said, I don't have any affiliation with the winery. I'll go to the border. And I took 12 bottles in a handsome case, and I took it to the border. I advised the liquor control people that I was going to do it, and if they had a problem with this, to charge me at the border. Nobody showed up, but the press did, and now the dialogue has begun, and maybe it'll finally be thrown out because it's unconstitutional.
So no reaction from government, but you have opened the eyes of Canadians to...
Well, they didn't know they were breaking the law.
No.
People come here all the time and go back to Alberta by the thousands every year, hundreds of thousands, and they all take wine back, and they're all breaking the law. And they can all, if they're charged and they're convicted 3 times, it's a 6-month jail sentence. It's stupid. It's stupid. And I know that we looked at what the United States did and realized that there were 35 states that have now opened up the border so that you can do it in the United States. Interestingly enough, each one of them wrote their own version of the law. They each said, no, we can do a better version of that. So there's no universal law, but it got done. So thumbs up to the Americans for getting it done right.
Tell us about your project with Jason Priestley.
I do a wine show with Jason Priestley called Hollywood and Vines. He and I have been friends for years. We've done some acting together, and we've known each other. We grew up in Vancouver. He's the guy that turned me on to wine, real wine, serious wine. He's got a couple, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 bottles of wine. And we were fishing out on Haida Gwaii, Queen Charlotte Islands, and we had lots of time. We were out in the ocean bouncing around, and I said, he said to me, you know all those CDs that you have at your house, do they just give them to you? I said, yeah, because they're promo copies, and they want you to play the record, so they give you a free copy. They send it to you. He said, imagine if we did a wine show, and we bounced for about 30 seconds, and we looked at each other and went, free wine, free wine. Free wine. And so from there, we're now getting ready to shoot our third and fourth year of Hollywood and Vines. And because we're now seen around the world, we're heading for South Africa, South America, Australia, New Zealand.
I need to apologize to you because we're doing this during overtime.
But I taped the game. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll get to see it.
Because it sounds like the Canucks just won.
I think they did in overtime. We would invite everybody, whether you like hockey or not, to come to Canada, come to British Columbia, come to the Okanagan, the Naramata Bench, and see what you saw.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Okay.